So how about this? Elon Musk is stepping down from DOGE after months of leading the effort to cut billions of dollars in government waste. Musk announcing the move on X, saying, quote, "As my scheduled time as a special government employee comes to an end, I would like to thank President Donald Trump for the opportunity to reduce wasteful spending. The DOGE mission will only strengthen over time as it becomes a way of life throughout the government." Lydia Moynihan is a financial correspondent for the New York Post, and she joins me now. Lydia, good morning to you. It's great to see you.
Great to be here.
A whole lot to reflect on here.
Yeah.
And Elon Musk has said that cutting government waste was a real uphill battle for him. So now that he's going to the private sector, how much did he actually accomplish?
Yeah, it really is the end of an era here.
Sure
and of course, this is being spun as him basically stepping away from Trump. And in reality, this is in line with what he always was planning to do. And I think it's interesting kind of watching the way that Elon Musk operates, right? This is his strategy where he goes into whether it's Tesla or Neuralink or X and basically impacts the organization as much as he can in a matter of 100 days or however long he plans to be there. That's how he's able to keep all of these different companies in check. And it's interesting, when you speak with executives, they're very aware of the fact that anytime you step into an organization, there's really a window of a matter of months where you can impact change. And so we are looking at, I think they stated publicly that they cut about $150 billion, which was below that estimated target. And yet you look at the impact that I think that will have when it actually comes to changing the way that each of these agencies and these governments operate. I'll also note he has put folks in place who will continue that work even after he's left. And the goal, again, was really to get all of this done from when Trump was inaugurated and then next July. That's really the window they have. But that's when you're doing something, when you're trying to make radical change, you kind of have to do it quickly, or otherwise it just gets stagnant.
Yeah, man, Elon Musk sure is a change maker, and he did do just that. According to DOGE, estimated cuts $175 billion, which amounts to a little over $1,000 per taxpayer, which is no small amount. So now the White House is sending some of the spending cuts to Congress to codify them, make them permanent. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that's always the challenge. Obviously, Elon Musk is a very impressive individual, but how do you get a body like Congress to agree to that? And I think that is where we're going to see sort of the rubber meet the road, because you're looking at what they say, obviously very significant when you talk about saving taxpayer money. That's so critical. And yet you're also looking at these huge deficits that are going to continue. So that's Elon Musk, I think, has done his part, fair to say. And so now it really is up to Congress to think about making some of those bigger reforms.
Yeah, no doubt. And okay, so we learned yesterday that Elon Musk is not a really big fan of the big, beautiful bill. He said it could either be big or beautiful, but not both. Here is President Trump responding to that. Watch this.
I'm not happy about certain aspects of it, but I'm thrilled by other aspects of it. That's the way they go. It's very big. It's the big, beautiful bill. But the beautiful is because of all of the things we have. We're going to make people really be able to, we'll have the lowest tax rate we've ever had in the history of our country, and tremendous amounts of benefit are going to the middle income people of our country, low and middle income people of our country.
Yeah, so Elon Musk's criticism is that it adds to the deficit and undermines DOGE's efforts. What do you think about that, and how much influence do those comments have over Congress? I mean, it's getting negotiated in the Senate right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think Elon Musk is aware that these entitlements really are costing the American taxpayer much more than the waste that he was focused on does. So to make that kind of reform where you are going to rein in the deficit, you will need to make those more dramatic cuts. And frankly, I don't know that congressional leaders who are elected every 2 years or those in the Senate every 6 years really have sort of the stamina or the courage to make those changes the way that Elon Musk did.
Yeah, well, somebody like Ron Johnson, who is concerned about the deficit, taking those comments from Elon Musk and running with them. So it's a fight in the Senate that we will certainly be watching. Lydia, thank you so much
for joining us. Great to be here.
Yeah, great to see you.
Well, Elon Musk says his time in the federal government is over, announcing on X, quote, "As my scheduled time as a special government employee comes to an end, I would like to thank President Trump for the opportunity to reduce wasteful spending. The DOGE mission will only strengthen over time as it becomes a way of life throughout the government." Now, during Musk's time as the head of DOGE, billions of dollars in government waste was slashed. DOGE says that it's saved over $175 billion since the start of Trump's term. And according to the department, when that's broken down by individual taxpayers, it is well over $1,000 each. So where was that money going in the first place? Musk revealed that a few million went towards maintaining, for example, an underground limestone mine to process federal retirement paperwork. Watch.
All the retirement paperwork is manual on paper. It's manually calculated, then written down on a piece of paper. Then it goes down a mine. And I'm like, what do you mean a mine? Like, yeah, there's a limestone mine where we store all the retirement paperwork. And you look at a picture of this mine. We'll post some pictures afterwards. And this mine looks like something out of the 50s because it was started in 1955. So it looks like it's like a time warp.
And as for the rest of those billions, here's a taste of some more wasteful spending uncovered by Musk and his team.
$520 million for a consultant on the environment. It's called Environmental, Social, and Governance Investments in Africa. $25 million to promote biodiversity, conservation, and promote licit livelihoods by developing socially responsible behavior in the country of Colombia. Well, it's nice, $25 million going to Colombia for something that nobody ever heard of. $10 million for Mozambique voluntary medical male circumcisions. $10 million for circumcisions in another country. $21 million for voter turnout in India. $20 million for fiscal federalism in Nepal. We're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars. I could, by the way, I could read this all day long.
Joe Concha, indeed, he could read it all day long. We have in our hands pages and pages, too. And at the end of the day, the uproar by the mainstream media that mischaracterized, that we were somehow taking away money from the mouths of babes, when really we were putting money back into American taxpayers, taking a chainsaw to the bureaucracy.
That's why the media is as trusted as gas station sushi at this point. Because these were some of the biggest stories day after day in terms of what Elon Musk and DOGE was finding in our federal government. And most Americans, they agree with the mission of DOGE as far as who could be possibly for waste, fraud, corruption. And if we lived in a sane and sober world, Elon Musk would be heralded as an unselfish hero who left very successful businesses to go into government to do a thankless job of cutting all of this spending. And instead, the media attacked him, smeared him, and then as a result, crazy people out there firebombed Tesla dealerships, shot at Tesla dealerships in some situations. So I think ultimately history will be kind to Elon Musk in terms of what he has done in this short period of time. The question is, does Congress and does the president, are they going to now actually give this money back to the American people through a DOGE check or from actually cutting all of these programs that Elon Musk has uncovered?
And Kayleigh, I think, to Joe's point, there is obviously a massive amount of line items that are shocking, and also the butterfly effect. And what I mean by that is, for example, when Elon Musk shared with the public that because of a lack of requirement to have a line item for Treasury payments, $4.7 trillion in payments were untraceable. Wow. That they just went out there so a small requirement had a massive impact that now, thanks to that requirement, will hopefully shut off the spigot moving forward.
Yeah, as Elon Musk said, the DOGE legacy will live on. And to Joe's point, I think you're spot on. I've written in my notes, Elon Musk had the ultimate thankless job. You're looking at the richest man in the world who signed up despite everything he has going on, SpaceX sending rockets into space, Neuralink implanting things in the minds of people with paralysis to help them in their lives. That's before you get to Tesla. He signed up for this job. And when you're the richest man in the world and you sign up to be on one side of the political aisle, you're going to get targeted. Not only that, he signed up for the worst job in the world. No one in Washington cut spending, not Republicans, not Democrats. Right. Maybe they will with this big, beautiful bill. We'll see. But no one cut spending. He signed up to do the worst job despite the resume he had. And I thank him for that. But finally, I would just say to your point about Congress, House Speaker Mike Johnson said they do want to codify a lot of this. Don't want to get too nuanced, but it's discretionary spending, not mandatory. Right. Exactly. So it won't be in the big, beautiful bill, but they're going to get a rescission package from the White House. So DOGE will live on, hopefully, legislatively as well. Which
was my question and tee up to Jerry. So talk to us about the codification, because that will be the only way to cement the legacy for the American people of Elon Musk.
Well, and that's what's critical, right? You know how hard this job is when the most intelligent, accomplished human being in the country goes after it and can't get it done, right? Does not finish. I mean, his numbers are impressive, but we are a long way from wringing all the waste out of our government. And I think the major contribution of Elon, and what I thank him for, is that he's shown a light on spending we had no idea was occurring. He showed us the degree to which legislators, regular folks on Capitol Hill have absolutely no respect for taxpayer dollars. And that is the thing that sets me on fire. You know, that's my money. You've got to use it responsibly. And hopefully now, taking baby steps forward, we're going to be able to get closer to more consistent views on how to spend the American taxpayer dollar. It's critical we do it right.
And up until DOGE was created, you know, we had to open the books. We had Adam Andrzejewski's legacy, but the amplification of Elon Musk, and obviously with the position, the creation of DOGE, helped really just shine that huge light. And I know, Rosanna, that today in the Washington Post, they had a line that I thought was funny, where basically they were like, we wonder if Elon Musk has sort of grasped, or perhaps is true, that rocket science may be less difficult than politics.
Challenging the status quo is never easy. Making disruptions is never easy. Don't forget, what did he make in 130 days going through all the facts and figures? He made zero. In fact, he's probably leaving this at a deficit.
Right.
His Tesla stock in the, not doing well, Jerry?
Not doing well.
Not doing well.
No.
Maybe now that he moves on, he can figure out his company. But let's face it, all he wanted to do was cut the fat and do it quickly. Shine a light on some of these items that our money was going toward. I mean, as someone who's lived in New York when the World Trade Center towers were attacked, to find out a former Taliban member got $132,000 from us?
Wow.
Are you kidding? That contract was canceled as of March 31st. So these are some of the things Elon Musk did, and we thank him for, just helping us with our hard-earned dollars and not wasting them.
Yeah, we were definitely funding the Taliban weekly and monthly to grotesque amounts, that's for sure. But yes, and I hope, by the way, final point, that the mainstream media stops saying that he's like leaving in disgrace for no reason, when he's leaving because his contract runs
is over.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Per employee.
But facts,
So on DOGE, we know that Elon Musk is leaving. Do you have an updated leadership structure for who is leading the group? Is Russ Vought involved? And what is its new mission now, if any?
Well, the entire cabinet is involved, and I spoke to the president about it this morning, and the entire cabinet understands the need to cut government waste, fraud, and abuse, and each cabinet secretary at their respective agencies is committed to that. That's why they were working hand in hand with Elon Musk, and they'll continue to work with the respective DOGE employees who have onboarded as political appointees at all of these agencies. So surely the mission of DOGE will continue, and many DOGE employees are now political appointees and employees of our government, and to the best of my knowledge, all of them intend to stay and continue this important work.
Is there a DOGE leader taking the place of Mr. Musk?
Well, again, the DOGE leaders are each and every member of the president's cabinet and the president himself, who is wholeheartedly committed to cutting waste, fraud, and abuse from our government.
Him accountable. With me now is Kevin O'Leary, chairman of O'Leary Ventures, and Kennedy, host of the Kennedy Saves the World podcast. Guys, I want to get from each of you your kind of top line thoughts as Elon Musk sails off into the sunset of what you think his best achievements were. You first, Kevin.
Bringing the whole idea of a different kind of audit into the psyche of bipartisan taxpayers. DOGE is a good idea. It just is. Auditing the government under any administration is a good idea. And trying to make it more efficient is a good idea. Now, one thing everybody learns, and I'm including myself in this statement, is you don't understand Washington till you go there. It is a very nasty, nasty place.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And anybody that exposes themselves that close to the sun is going to burn some feathers. And I think he experienced that and realized he did some great things, but there's other great things that he's doing, including, I'm a shareholder in Tesla. I'd like to see him a little focused on that. He's getting back to that as well. But I don't think what he did was bad at all. He didn't get near $1 trillion of savings. And Elizabeth Warren, parting card is why Washington is nasty. You're going to get exposed to that. You need thick skin, and I think he understands that now. I think he did a great job.
Kennedy, take a quick listen to Dana Bash on CNN.
Let's do it. Was it really about just cutting waste, fraud, and abuse? No. I mean, it just wasn't. It was about making some specific cuts, ideological cuts, cultural, places where they had cultural differences.
What do you make of that? I mean, she's right in the sense that everything this president does, policy-wise, is ideological, as is every president.
And everything the Democrats do in terms of spending is also ideological. And it sounds like she's carrying water and delivering talking points for the Democratic establishment, which has not served her or CNN very well. I mean, Jake Tapper's doing fine because he's now telling tales about Democrats' cultural and media failure. So I guess good for him. Kevin is absolutely right. This is so incredibly necessary because we are going to drown under the weight of the payments that we will owe on the debt that we're continuing to rack up. And unless we stop just heaping money on these vanity projects for lawmakers in both parties, because yes, Washington is mean and evil, but it's also filled with people who are addicted to power and votes, and they tie that with government spending and what they can give to their constituents. Yeah. And they're not going to be the ones who stop the spending, but at least now Democrats who have short memories can go back to buying Teslas again.
Kevin, I know that you hate to go political, so I'm obviously going to ask you a politically minded question now, which is, you say the economy is on fire, we've never been better. Do you attribute that solely to the last 4 months? Who owns this bounteous period?
So let me deal with your first statement. I don't deal with politics because I don't make any money with politics. I make money with policy, so I only care about policy. I don't mind that this president and this administration has this unique attribute of doing everything as sausage is being made with a camera there. This is unique. Trump doesn't care. So if you're watching sausage being made with all of this volatility just around the tariff narrative, he stretched and pushed the powers of the executive up against the courts. He doesn't care. And they push back. He doesn't care. What matters is, where are we policy-wise? The market is now back near its highs. The economy, almost full employment. We are killing it in tech, where I'm an investor. I'm very, very happy. And yet the market's starting to figure out what really Trump is doing is getting us to a reciprocal tariff, maybe around 10% by the time we get to the midterms. That's kind of the vibe in the market right now. And no administration has ever tried to negotiate 60 trade deals at once. That's never been done. And so obviously now, with these pushbacks from the courts and the appeals and yada, yada, woof, 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 it's going to be a little slower. But have you noticed Japan, Canada, the EU, India still talking? They know Trump's not going to stop. He's a bulldog. He's just going to keep coming after him with tariffs. So they haven't dropped their negotiating teams in Washington. That goes on as we speak.
Kennedy, you get the last 10 seconds.
I am very hopeful that the president sends the rescission package to Congress and they make good on the $9.4 billion in cuts that he is seeking. And I hope they find their spines and cut even more, because government is too big, it's too cumbersome, it's too expensive, and that just squashes the middle class.
This is your whole raison d'etre.
Absolutely right, Jillian, and thank you for using your beautiful French.
Well, as Kevin likes to say, yada, yada, wolf, wolf, woof, woof, woof.
It's yada, 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 woof, woof, woof.
Woof, woof. All right, I'm going to practice. I'll nail it by next time. Yes. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Greg Gutfeld, along with Emily Campagno, Jessica Tarloff, Jesse Waters, and she wants to be buried in a hot dog bun. Dana Perino, The Five.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy.
What do you think of my hat? I wear a lot of hats.
I thought my son might enjoy this, but he's sticking his fingers in my ears.
Humble tech support here.
Who's big balls?
It's big.
That should be obvious.
The DOGE daddy is gone and done. Elon Musk announcing his departure from D.C. and thanking President Trump with an announcement on X where he said, quote, "The DOGE mission will only strengthen over time as it becomes a way of life throughout the government." Musk saving over $175 billion since the start of Trump's term, and is getting honest about seeing that mission continue.
I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly.
which increases the budget deficit, not just decrease it, and undermines the work that the DOGE team is doing.
Musk learning a few lessons from his time in the swamp. He told the Washington Post, quote, "The federal bureaucracy situation is much worse than I realized." The billionaire also lamenting how DOGE became DC's whipping boy after the left turned on him and started torching Teslas. But now the Dems are left without their favorite scapegoat.
When Trump came in and DOGE and Elon Musk began firing key safety officials for the FAA, began laying off key personnel, one of the biggest issues right now is a personnel issue in addition to the technology issues.
Trump and Musk are just eroding the American dream. They're rigging the system for billionaires while stealing from the elderly, from the disabled, to cut taxes for their billionaire club.
They are dead now at the hands of Elon Musk and his co-conspirators.
So, Jessica, we know that if the debt is not addressed within the next few years, we will probably face an economic collapse. Some will call it an economic heart attack. We'll have a weak dollar, hyperinflation, rising interest rates. And yet it was sobering to watch the Democrats root against Musk and DOGE when they know that if he fails, there will be economic collapse. So I ask you, what is the Democrat solution for this coming crisis? If you weren't fine with DOGE or Elon Musk, what is your solution, young lady, if I may call you that?
I mean, I'm 41, but I like to think of myself as young. Our solution is a Democratic redux from the 90s, where you have a DOGE master, and it could be Elon Musk, that gets together and works with the administration and also works with Congress and does all of this the legal way.
But why was this one wrong?
Well, because he took the proverbial chainsaw, then a lot of times the courts had to overrule him. And frankly, the GOP wasn't interested in codifying any of his cuts. That's the problem. I mean, we had the one. No,
they're wrong for that. But I'm asking you, what was wrong with what he did?
Well, because he wasn't paying attention to what he was cutting, which is why they had to reinstate all these people, from the folks who work for the weather services to the nuclear scientists. Just kind of woke up and started slashing things, or sent baby big balls out there, and they didn't know what they were doing. And it's going to turn out that only $9 billion of the $175 billion that he originally touted, which was supposed to be $2 trillion, are actually going to be in this reconciliation package. And what the Democrats are arguing, and what I think you couldn't deny, is that it's reckless at this moment to ram through trillions of dollars in tax cuts for the wealthy when you haven't cut any of the spending, which is why Ron Johnson right now is a no, Rand Paul is a no, and they don't have the numbers for this. And I'm not saying that the Democrats are going to get Elon Musk back. Right, but he's so clearly disappointed, talking about the reconciliation bill and the work that he's done. And also Tesla's out there now tweeting, saying you can't do these cuts that get rid of the energy tax incentives, because the grid is going to be smashed as a result of it, and we're going to lose our energy independence. So I'm campaigning for you, Elon. We only talked for a little while when you were on the show, but we'll take you back, and we could DOGE the right way together.
So it was just not the right way. The process was wrong. But they were 100% behind it, guys. What say you, Jesse?
You know, Jessica's laughing that he's gone, but it's like laughing at a funeral. The Democrats' funeral. Your party's dead, Jessica.
What?
And you basically pushed the world's wealthiest man into our arms. And
now he's running from you. He went on one date.
Wait,
and he's done.
This is the day that he was supposed to leave.
Yeah, he's supposed to leave tomorrow, 180 days. How do I know that and you don't,
It's
Jessica?
130.
Listen, you now made Elon Musk the Republican Party's biggest donor. Thank you. Thank you very much. You think he's just going to stop giving?
He said I'm stopping giving.
Okay, I've heard that before. They're going to give. You think he's not giving to Vance? After what you did to him, do you think he's just going to bury the hatchet? After you called him a Nazi? After you bombed his cars, you think the next election he's going to be like, all right, you know what? Let the Democrats get back in there. Because what do you think the Democrats are going to do when they get back in? They're going to go all in and try to put the man in prison. They're going to try to bankrupt his companies and investigate the hell out of him. You think he's not going to give anymore? You are I'm not going to say the word idiot, but you've made a huge mistake and you don't realize how dumb it is. Also, you're saying how much you need men. Young men idolize Elon Musk. They want to be him. They want to be based. They want to ride around in his trucks, and they want to hang with big balls. And now every time you attack Elon Musk, you're attacking all of the young men that you need for your party to survive. You're attacking a living legend. We're talking Rockefeller, Ford, Jobs. Who's against him? Booker? He's a footnote. Liz Warren? What has she ever done? This man's expanding civilization. He's cut spending. He's actually found fraud.
Where?
You've never found it, Jessica.
And while he was doing that, he rescued astronauts that they then mocked while they praised Katy Perry.
Yeah, he's...
No one praised Katy Perry, to be clear.
He's like... She didn't look great, that shot. He's juggling like heroic acts, and you guys are chirping at him for the silence. You had your chance. You didn't cut spending. You didn't find fraud. You made Kamala Harris the AI czar, Jessica. This is like you're upset because he set a $2 trillion goal and didn't hit it. Okay.
He ended up with $9 billion.
He did more than you did. He did more than anyone has ever
That's
done
not true.
in about 3 decades, Jessica. This is like a fan. Every NFL season.
Just let someone else talk.
No. Every NFL season, every single team tries to win the Super Bowl. That's the goal. They don't all win the Super Bowl. But you're like on the side, like, you tried to win the Super Bowl and you didn't win. You're not even playing. You're not even on the field. You're on the sidelines eating chicken.
Chicken, you say?
Chicken.
So, Emily, now that Jesse has paused, what do you think about the fact that he left when he said he would, which you never see with politicians? He doesn't linger like one of Swalwell's farts in an elevator. He said, I did my job. I made this a way of life. See you later.
Well, also, he was compliant with the statute, right? So we knew he had to leave at that time, which is why when the mainstream media crows, he's being chased out of D.C., that's not at all what's happening. He came in for a certain amount of time, fulfilled his duties, and then left. He did cut spending. I mean, he found $4.7 trillion by the Treasury that because didn't have to do a line item, literally overnight that spigot was turned off because all of a sudden there had to be accountability. And I think about, the reality that it's so simple to slash all of this spending and all of this waste, fraud, and abuse. But the complexity was in the execution, was in the selling. Because at every step of the way, all of these Democrats and all of these liberals, they just inherited a system, and that was why they accepted it. Like, it matters about the title, not the actual productivity, right? You take the Social Security Administration. That's where I worked as a federal attorney in part. In 1 year, there were overpayments of $23 billion. But the Dems at the time were like, well, that's just 1% of the whole budget, so who cares?
Yeah.
And it's that kind of thinking that is so destructive instead of saying, we do care because it's death by 1,000 cuts, because economic catastrophe is the next logical step if you keep throwing away other people's money. So at the end of the day, when people who complain about the DMV think that that's not this on the larger scale, we have pundits right now saying, he fired everyone that inspects our food, and that does. No, he didn't. That's, again, them inheriting the system, so automatically ascribing value, when the reality was all of that bloat, all of it needed to be exploded. And the only person that could do it was him through the algorithms. That's what Speaker Johnson said today. He said the bureaucracy was hiding it. That's why you can't do it the legal, boring way.
Yeah.
You didn't say boring.
I did say legal, though, which we should aspire to.
Yes.
Dana, I do find it, I think the thing that bugs me the most about it is he was doing something that was widely popular among the American public and still is. And yet the Democrats and the media attacked him for it. It's like you talk about public service. He's not a politician. He didn't have to do this.
Right. I actually think that the long-term legacy of Elon Musk in this period of his life, and maybe forever, will be complicated. Because one thing that is wonderful is to go back to actually being willing to have this conversation about overspending. Right? Like, we're having the conversation, we're just not getting to the solutions. But we're getting to the root of it, which is that because Republicans and Democrats will not deal with the long-term problems of the entitlement programs and just making them work better, right? I'm not talking about cutting anyone's benefits, but making them work better for the people who deserve it. Until we're willing to deal with that, like Stephen Miller the other day when he posted that there's discretionary spending and there's non-discretionary spending, and you can't do anything about this. Well, if you wall off that part of the budget, then you're never going to get to this. But I do think they can keep DOGE going in a way. Well, they're going to with Russ Vought over at the Office of Management and Budget. One of the things we haven't talked about a lot is that I know that the money fell short of the waste, fraud, and abuse that they said they could find. But improving the technology at a lot of these places would be amazing.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember the computers that were like had a green screen? Like, that's the kind of stuff that some of the agencies were still using. That is extremely useful, and I think an exciting thing. But I also feel like for Musk, I like what John Ekdahl said on X. He said that Musk really went through this Republican Party experience. You have this euphoric victory, you have grand sweeping plans, you complete governing incompetence, and then you have political disillusionment. You're like, oh yeah, that wasn't so great. And he's right. It can be big, it can be beautiful. He doesn't know if it can be both at the same time. It will get done, but until we as a country actually deal with the non-discretionary issue, we will not be able to reduce the deficit.
Well said, young lady.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.